Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday webinar. I want to thank you all for joining us. We will have everyone on mute today, but if you have any questions, you can put it into the chat feature, and we will facilitate that with our presenter. And our presenter today is Dr. Christine Chin Sim, very good friend of the Chamber. We appreciate her being with us. She's a psychotherapist specializing in human relationships. She works with individuals, families, and small businesses to build and maintain strong, healthy relationships. Her preferred mode of work is based on helping individuals understand the mindset that they use to approach problematic situations and how to change in order to achieve their goals and live successful, purposeful lives. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you for having me. So I'm going to kind of gear it towards business. Since we're all in business here, at least we're all attempting to do our business in this kind of a climate, I wanted to kind of gear this workshop, or whatever you might call it, towards businesses. But I want you to also keep in mind that every single area of our lives, every single relationship that we find ourselves in can also benefit from this kind of a knowledge. Hey, Chuck, I see you. So I'm just going to read out some statements and to give you an idea of the two different mindsets that we tend to have. And really what mindset is really a set of belief system, is our belief system, is a set of beliefs that we carry around with us. And these beliefs is what's going to dictate exactly how we respond to situations, how our behavior. So it really kind of dictates everything about what we do, how we think, all right? So how we feel. So that's why it's so important. That's why I focus on mindset when I try to help clients, all right? So I'm going to read out a couple sentences or statements and kind of give you an idea of what these mindsets are. First of all, there are two different mindsets. It's fixed mindset, someone with a fixed mindset, and someone with a growth mindset. So when you hear somebody say, I am who I am and I cannot change, that's someone with a fixed mindset, right? When you hear somebody says, no matter who I am, I can always change to become a better person, that is someone with a growth mindset. Another statement could be, I could do some things differently, but that will not change who I am. So that's somebody with a fixed mindset. And I can always change basic things about the kind of person that I am, is someone with a growth mindset. Now, this is focusing mostly on the personality and the character of the person, right? But there are two areas that usually mindsets kind of focus on, and it's a personality of the person or their intelligence. And so I'm going to go into some statements now that you will hear when somebody speaks from the mindset of intelligence. So they may say, I was born intelligent. You either have it or you don't. So that is going to be someone with a fixed mindset. If you hear somebody say, I can learn new things, but it will not change how intelligent I am, that is somebody with a fixed mindset. Somebody with a growth mindset that will say, it doesn't matter how intelligent I am, there's always room for improvement. And somebody with a growth mindset will also say, intelligence can be changed substantially with effort. Now, I'm going to kind of go into what exactly is a mindset. The mindset is basically, as I say, a belief system that we hold, right? Now, it is important to note that we are at different stages in our lives, and mindsets can be changed, one, which is a good thing. And the next thing is that mindsets are always along a continuum. It's never rigid and set in one place. Like somebody will not have all fixed minds, be a fixed mindset kind of a person or a growth mindset. It's never that, it's not in one area. It's not focused in one area. You're going to be along a continuum. So it is possible that you could be a fixed mindset in your relationships with people that your wife, your family or whatever it is. Because what that would look like is that if you're with your spouse and you have a fixed mindset there, then they may want to go and try something different, but you are saying, oh, I don't really care for that. I don't need to, do that. You don't want to learn anything new. You don't want to try different things. You don't want to grow or, do anything like that. So, and you may not do that with work. You may go to work and you're willing to learn new things and grow and really just be flexible in everything so you can actually do a good job. So that's what I mean when you may, in one area you could be fixed and in another area you could be growth. All right, or vice versa. The basic thing to remember is that someone with a fixed mindset is going to believe more in innate talent. They're going to believe that this is how I am, and this is as much as I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I'm genius at this. But you cannot get any better by learning. So they're not going to be looking to grow in any area. They're not going to be looking to study any further in that area to get better, to grow personally. And so they will just be dependent on their innate skills, their innate talent to do everything. They won't go outside of that comfort zone. Now, the person with the growth mindset is going to believe that no matter what your skill level is now, it can be changed through effort and commitment. So if you might now start to see a kind of a connection between the way that somebody thinks and the way they behave, a fixed mindset person, because you'll see that someone with a fixed mindset is not going to want to learn or grow. They are very much into their skill, their talent, their innate talent, their innate genius. They're good at this thing. Somebody can draw and they're really good at drawing, and that's that their thing. They didn't have to do much work to be good. That's it. And so they depend on that more than anything else. They're not interested in growing further into that. They're not interested in trying something different, or if they fail at that, is the worst thing for them, because then who are they going to be? If they're so good at this thing and then they fail at that, then they go into a tailspin. Okay, so if we were to speak to someone with a fixed mindset in terms of it could be anything, but say you're doing an interview with a prospective employee, then you will hear them have inflated beliefs of their abilities. They're going to think that, oh, they're like a cat's pajamas, the kind of thing. I'm just the best at this kind of thing. And they have inflated beliefs. They'll just be touting themselves, right? You'll also hear them speak in terms of me or I, especially I did this, I did that. It was in my idea. It was, and it's okay that it is their idea. But when they make such a big deal of it just being them, about them, that's when you hear that is somebody with a fixed belief system. Usually don't like to be challenged, because challenging them mean that you're challenging their innate genius. And as I mentioned earlier, if that is destroyed, then they are totally destroyed too, because they believe that's who they are and that's how it is. And if that is destroyed, then they kind of find it difficult to know who they are. They are going to focus on attributes or experiences that make them feel special and more important than others. They're always like looking to one-up you on their achievements and stuff like that, right? And the other thing is that they will blame people for their failure. They will not they don't take responsibility for anything that they've done wrong, or anything. Say you're in the position of, you're the boss, and your employee did something wrong. They're not going to, go to the stakeholders or whoever it is that they have to report to and say, I missed something. I should have been more watching what this is doing, a bit more hands-on or whatever it is. They're always going to be blaming someone else. And even when it is something that they themselves did, they're going to say it is because this happened. It is because of this person, what they said, what they did. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. So these are the things that you're going to look for when you're interviewing or even speaking to someone you're dating. If you know somebody you're dating and it's always somebody else's fault, it's never their fault. right? They're always like the perfect person. Then you know this person has a fixed mindset. How do they behave when they're challenged? Instead of learning from their failures, somebody, they will be, learning from their failures and repairing them. What they will do is try to repair their self-esteem or their ego, right? They're not interested in really repairing themselves because they think they are perfect, right? And in fact, they may seek out other people who are less than them or did worse than them, or to actually compare themselves, because they always have to save their self-esteem. They always have to save their ego. They're always trying to prove themselves, and they can be very sensitive about being wrong or making mistakes. They don't usually like to take responsibility for their actions. As I mentioned before, they're into blaming and making excuses for whatever behavior, whether it be their behavior or somebody else under their authority. They fear challenge. And the reason they fear challenge, for example, somebody may be very good at something. And you may say, okay, you're very good at singing. So maybe you should go to this, what do you call that thing that they have on TV that you go sing and to win, some prize. And they want, they say, you go and go and do that because you would be good at that because you're so talented, right? This person might not want to go. Somebody with a fixed mindset might not want to go, because then if you're so good right now and you go there and you lose, then who are you, right? So it's always something that it always stops them from getting better or going higher in their area of expertise, because they don't want to fail. Failure is like a no-go for them. Usually if you look at two people, it's hard to tell them, if you don't know them well, that they're fixed or growth mindset, because when everything is going well, they're fine. They look just like the growth mindset person. The challenge they have is when things starts to go wrong. They have a challenge, something is wrong. That is when the fixed mindset really, really shows up. So let's go to the growth mindset individual. When you're talking to a growth mindset individual, then they will speak. You'll hear them speaking of how they changed through effort and commitment. You'll hear them speaking of how they enjoy the process of growing and learning something different and something new, even if it's challenging. You'll hear them choose to take responsibility for their actions as well as the actions of others who are in their, underneath their care. And so these are people who have a tendency to want to overcome their deficiencies by self-growth or whatever other means. So they accept those deficiencies instead of denying them. How do the growth mindset person respond? They will usually go, they will easily go and seek help from somebody else. They are not afraid of losing their, of their mashing up their ego by going to seek help. They are willing to go and seek help when they know something, they need help from somebody else. They will also stay the course when something gets tough. So if they're having a problem, they are going to stay the course and with trial and error, they will continue to try until they get to that place where they've accomplished what they need to accomplish. They don't give up easily. Whereas a fixed mindset person is going to give up because they don't want to be challenged, right? They also believe that if they put in the effort, they will eventually succeed. And they do have the willingness to accept their shortcomings and work to strengthen and build on them. So some of the questions that you could ask, whether it be an employee or anyone else that you might have to be in relationship with that might affect you personally or your company, then you might say, tell me of an incident where you felt you were successful in achieving a certain goal, and how did you do that? Because when you ask that, you want to listen for I, or if they include their team members in it. If you hear just I did this and I was successful and I managed this and I did, and And especially when you know it was something that had to be teamwork, and there's no mention of a team or anybody else involved, then you know that this person is someone with a fixed mindset. If you hear them talking about their team members, then you know it's somebody with a growth mindset. Somebody, if you ask them, how would you go about handling coworkers or employees who do not agree with your beliefs or ways of doing things, you will notice a language of superiority and an unwillingness to listen to hear others' point of view. If you ask them, what did you learn from the last position that may be helpful to this one? They may actually find it difficult to answer because they don't believe that they learned anything. They're the one who would have brought the knowledge to this place, and they were the one that made that place. So you might see a hesitation. So these are some of the questions you can ask, and just listen. You have to really be able to listen for languages that are blaming and making excuses, or which would be for the fixed mindset. And if there's a hesitation when somebody talks about growth or weaknesses, then you know that there's something, they don't believe they have any weaknesses because they have this innate talent. So the fixed mindset bosses will usually have a tendency to hire people for their academic achievements, right? Whereas the growth mindset boss will hire people for their passion and their belief in personal growth and their ability to get things done, even when faced with challenges. So if you want to find out the person you're hiring or the person you're going to be dating, then ask these questions, right? It might sound, I mean, as I'm speaking to you now, I'm speaking mostly about business, but this kind of tool and knowledge is also very good in any kind of a relationship that you find yourself in, especially the ones that you choose. For example, a partner or a couple's relationship. Because a lot of the times in these kind of relationships, you're so close and everything really impinges on how each person behaves in that relationship. So what happens is that if you are someone who likes to do and learn things that are new and improve yourself, and then you are with someone who does not, especially at the beginning. Now, I'm not saying that you guys who are already married and think you just have to do what you do, right? But especially when you're seeking or you're going into a new relationship, it's good to find out, because it would cause your life to be so much less stressful if you find out in the beginning that this person is somebody who have the same mindset as you do, or a similar mindset. It doesn't have to be the same exact one, but it will make life so much easier in any relationship, whether it's business relationship or intimate relationship, that it will cause your life to be much less painful, right? Because when you hear the mindset, you'll hear, if I win, I'll be somebody. That's a fixed mindset. If I fail, that's their mindset. If I fail, I'll be nobody. The growth mindset person will say, if I work really hard at something, you kind of get out of it what you put into it. So how do we encourage someone to have a growth mindset? And this is particularly important, especially for parents with small children, because then that would kind of help from the beginning for that child to have more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset. So a lot of parents make the mistake of praising their children for their talent or their innate abilities or their genius or their smarts. And that's not good, because what happens is that when that child gets a low grade in an area that you think that this child is genius, they are like they're good at music or whatever it is, and if they fail or they feel deficient in some way, then they will stop, right? They will stop because you've put so much value on their talent that when they fail at that talent, then they don't know who they are or what they're good at, right? So it's important, especially for parents when they have young children. But even when we're older, we can also change by praising, instead of praising for genius or talent or innate ability, we should praise for effort. So instead of saying, for example, you know what you did, you're so good at that, you're just naturally good, you don't even have to try hard. I'm really so proud of you. Say to them, you know, I noticed that you really worked hard on that project. You really practiced, you really did, you know, what you needed to do, and you did, and it shows because you've done so well. So you're going to praise their efforts, you're going to praise them taking initiative, you're going to praise them staying the course when things go wrong. You're going to praise them for being undaunted by setback. You're going to praise them for their struggles, the ability to get over these struggles or disappointments. And you're going to praise them for the willingness to do something new as circumstances change. Also, something you can praise them for is being open to different ideas, criticism, and the willingness to learn from that instead of to remain stuck in that area. So I think that is my little 2 cents on mindsets and how it is that we can kind of just be able to understand it and also be able to you know, train or change it. And any questions? Do we have any?
Thank you, Christine. We're asking, we just put something in the chat to ask people if they have any questions. They can submit questions. Why don't you just tell us a little bit more about your practice, Christine, and people that you work with. You know, what are the opportunities there?
Well, my practice, I'm a psychotherapist. I was trained as a psychotherapist, and my passion is really to help people who have become stuck in certain areas. They find that they cannot move forward in whatever, it could be relationships, could be just their life. They're not making the right decisions, and a lot of the times what happens is because of the mindset. So I help people to work. I have to work with people. I work with individuals, sorry, or small groups, couples, to help them to change their mindset around relationships and life and different challenges, so that they can kind of really move forward in their lives. So I have this practice that I do online. Everything is online. I can do it by phone. I can do it by Zoom, which is what I usually do, or I can do it by that chat thing on the phone, all these different things on the phones. I can do whatever it is that you want, but we don't have to meet in person. If you want to meet in person, we can go to a place to coffee, because I work from my home, you know, where we have coffee and actually do that. But I also have different things that I'm doing now. I've opened some stores that they're online, and what I do is I because I'm kind of extending my brand to be able to motivate people and kind of just question limiting beliefs and things like that, by selling some t-shirts with different quotes on it, or questions, or things that will challenge people to grow, you know, as we wear them out and we see. It will be to motivate. My thing is to motivate, uplift, and encourage each other as we go around with our t-shirts. And so I have that, and I also have another store with home decor. So it's like pillows, you know, with quotes on them, or canvas prints with quotes on them. So I'm kind of just extending my brand across these things to kind of be a part of what I do, which is to help to motivate people and to really try and, you know, for example, if you were to wear a t-shirt that says, you know, you can get back up again. You never know, that there might be somebody out there who might feel that they're just like under so much stress, and they're like feeling down and lost and all this. And if they see, you know, they might see this message on somebody's t-shirt, you can get back up again, and think, you know, I can get back up again. You know, it might be just something that speaks to somebody under certain circumstances. So that's what I do right now. And I can be contacted when I send out the PowerPoint. There's on the back page, I actually have my number on it, and there are like a few little examples of t-shirts and canvas prints and tote bags with these, these quotes and sayings on it that kind of encourage people. So you could call me there or go into my website, and we can and you can see what I have to offer. You can
That's great.
also make an appointment.
All right, thank you, Kristen. We'll be sure to share that information. We do have a question. What questions would someone ask to determine the mindset that someone is in?
You mean a general question?
Yeah. What would you ask someone to try to determine that?
So I would ask, what is it that has challenged you in the past? Or what challenges do you have right now that you're, how would you want to grow? How do you see yourself growing? Because somebody with a fixed mindset is not going to want to grow. They're going to think that they're already at their place. There are some questions I have in the PowerPoint that will be there that will show you, for example, when you ask these questions, what to look for, right? And so you're going to be looking for the two different mindsets, the fixed or the growth mindset. So anytime you ask a question that says, what can you learn from this? Or what have you learned from that? And the person says, well, I didn't learn anything really, because, basically they already knew everything. Then you know that is someone with a fixed mindset. If the person says, I've learned that I can do this, and I've gone out to really learn and do better by studying more in this area, then you know it's somebody with a growth mindset. But it's it's not just one question that you can ask. There's so many different questions that you can ask, right? Let me see if I can find some that I actually, it's in the PowerPoint, but I will. Okay, so, oops. If you ask questions to for someone with the traits you have to remember is that someone with a growth mindset is not going to be willing to change. Is willing to change. Someone with a fixed mindset is not going to be willing to change. They're going to be more into, I am who I am and I cannot change. So when you ask the questions, you have to just listen for those kinds of responses that you get.
And what could somebody do if they have determined that they themselves are in a fixed mindset and they want to migrate to a more open mindset? How can you kind of coach yourself through that?
They have to now realize that usually people with a fixed mindset, they have to come to a place where they really have suffered because of the fixed mindset that they have. Once they determine that, then they can now go and see what the qualities and characteristics of a person with a growth mindset is, and now try to gear themselves towards that area. So for example, somebody who believes that they are stuck at where they are because they have this fixed mindset and they are not continuing to grow, then they can now go ahead and start looking for people who have been good in those areas and ask them to help them with those areas in their lives, right? They can now start learning, because the growth mindset is all about learning and personal growth. So they can now go from somebody with a fixed belief that this is where I am and who I am and I cannot grow, to going now to seek out the knowledge that they need to get better at whatever it is that they're doing.
Great, thank you. Do we have any more questions? You can put them in the chat feature. I'm not seeing any other questions, Christine, but we really appreciate you being on the call. We appreciate you being part of the chamber, and it's really been great to get to know you, and we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in person in the not too distant future. But we really appreciate all that you do. So is there any other final thoughts you want to leave us with, Christine?
Just take care of yourself, guys. That's all. I mean, it's a little scary time that we're living in. Lots of new challenges that we're all facing. But if we just continue to do the best that we can do, as individuals, then I think we can get out of this. So just basically that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kristen. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to talking with you soon.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everybody.
See you.